Join us for our blog and podcast session. Instead of cutting in and interrupting the creative flow of the day, we're going to approach with a solid slice and carve out some time for creativity. How often do you find yourself putting creativity on the chopping block or cutting out the creative process entirely when it comes to engaging yourself in new ideas or utilizing objects or information in novel ways? Do you find that your acts of creativity lead you to discover personally meaningful ideas that nurture your inner dependence? Food for thought. Are you giving your brain a boost or a break when it comes to creativity? This podcast is a sample of what the artist series of the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday podcast will talk about while exploring the creative process. An event that occurs in the atmosphere on or underneath the ground or in the seas and ocean can inspire a creative phenomenon. These phenomena can also impact people, places, and spaces, including wildlife and animals in a way that inspires the creative process. Do you find you are more creative in a natural environment and inspired by ecosystems? Are you finding that your creativity is part of your progress in life? Let me bounce this idea to you. Critical thinking and creative problem solving forms a meaning between relationships and intrinsic motivation that can move you like natural and creative phenomena. Envisioning your creative space is like imagining your creative work from its intention to completion. A vision board can facilitate your creative flow and cultivate a visual mindset for your creative space. Articulate your vision to express the words you don't write down in your art journal or storytell in your composition. Do you find that you associate your writer's block with your creative block? Where do you find space to create? Here's a spatula antidote. Resonate with the people, spaces, and places around you so that you can fine-tune your location and make a spatula turn that impacts you. An interaction of elements that, when combined, produce artistic harmony and increases the quality of your creative flow. The 5 elements of creativity are inspiration, planning, choice-making, actions, and realization. How much positive energy do you create during your creative process? What are some of the ways you can combine your artistic ability and creative skill set? Take this two-sided coin. Energy and synergy in the creative process is dynamic flow. It doesn't matter which side the coin lands on when it is flipped. Establishing your method of creativity by writing down ideas without being influenced by others. This is called brainstorming. Brainstorming is a technique used to solve critical and creative problems across all domains of creativity. What is your method of creativity? Have you ever brainstormed? Take into account this spatula concept. The relationship between people and objects, and the relationship between objects themselves. The technique that an artist uses and the style that the artist masters are stages in the creative process. Preparation, incubation, illumination, evaluation, and implementation. Each stage transcends into elements that build into the creative process from intention to completion. What are your favorite styles of art? Is there a technique that you have mastered? An inspiration. Artists are inspired by the other works of artists. The balance and imbalance of line, shape, space, value, form, texture, and color is like a comparison of a nova and a supernova. It is like the phenomenon of what the artist creates and puts away during the stages and phases of the creative process. How do you prefer to release your artistic energy? Do you manage your creative time when your energy is high or low? Use the elements of art to move between imbalance and balance that creates the cyclical nature of art. An act of creativity can create advocacy and art expression that mobilizes individuals and communities to express not only creative problems, but address critical and essential needs. The act of art is a model of action and interaction. Have you invented a tool that impacts how people live? On a smaller scale, have you figured out a new way to accomplish a task in your daily life? Challenge yourself to engage in an act of creativity. Tools, techniques, and methods influence how you approach the creative process after you have carved out time and established your creative flow. The time and synergy now creates the energy you can utilize in the future to turn influence into action. What are your positive and negative experiences with being creative? What artist movements influence you? An artist quote: "Creativity takes courage." Henry Matisse. A conceptual hurdle that generates from ideas based on exploring connections can help you literally and figuratively jump over an obstacle that you set as a challenge for yourself. In a group setting, the group passing technique is like the jumping over a hurdle and passing the baton to your creative partners. Do you avoid challenging yourself literally and figuratively, individually or in a group? Do you keep your creative ideas as thoughts only? What about exercising your brain? Just like your body needs exercise, so does the brain. There are 10 intangible places you can find space: movement, sound, image, sensation, emotion, strategy, story, symbol, network, and systems. You can navigate these spaces through an array of media, tools, activities, and domains. What are your most pivotal creative moments? What are your favorite forms of expressing yourself? Account for these utility areas: nurturing individuals' creative potential, helping creators adapt to continuing changing circumstances, fostering positive creative self-beliefs in overlooked domains of creation. Like seeing the ocean but not seeing what creates the waves is like communities sharing individual abilities, material resources, and personal experiences that shape the trajectory of a creative moment. Earlier creators used theories, tools, and techniques. Do you commit to your creative decisions? Do you choose how creative moments shape your creative planning? Take into account these factors that influence creativity: cognitive abilities, creative abilities, knowledge, personality, and motivation. Shaping creativity through a creative lens means using different perspective, techniques, and approaches to foster new ideas and creative endeavors. Instead of pivots, what shifts in your perspective do you take to challenge an assumption? Do you seek out new ways to discover ideas? In context, art benefits increased motivation, enhanced problem solving, and improved engagement. Creative materials are what impact the creative process and material exploration in a tangible state while fostering learning and innovation. Engaging with physical materials allows us to experiment, problem solve, and develop spatial awareness. What materials do you like working with? Which material properties spark your imagination? Materials matter. Creative activities engage us to experiment with our thought process and enlighten us to improve cognitive skills. Cultivate a creative lens by trying new things and approaches while participating in art experiences that allow you to take steps outside of your comfort zone and embrace your creative pursuit. What are ways you can sharpen your creative thinking skills? How does your creative activities improve your creative lens? A daily task. Build a creative mindset to make routines more interesting and rewarding. An oddity in art can push boundaries in traditional artistic conventions. In creative art, an oddity can challenge norms and explore unique perspectives while you seek to create something new and unexpected. What art subject matter do you connect with most? What unique styles and techniques do you attempt in your artwork? Find your object of art. Be it visual, literary, or performance, find your object of art by thinking outside the box. Thinking outside of the box refers to creative, unconventional, and innovative problem solving by considering perspective beyond the usual and established ways of thinking. The creative process can be enhanced by outside of the box thinking. Are you someone who can challenge the norm? How open-minded are you? Cultivate your out-of-the-box thinking by seeking diverse perspective, expand your mindset by practicing divergent thinking, and collaborate with others. Culminate with a final product or implement your idea into a tangible. We've walked through the creative process and stages in 18 episodes, leading us to reflect on how we emerged and improved as artists from each stage of incubation, illumination, evaluation, and verification. Our process has been acknowledged through the questions we've answered and insight that has prompted us to look into our own creative process and share what we have experienced as artists.